What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Free Photography Tutorials. This video is sponsored by Covenant Eyes, and I'll talk more about that later, but I'm very excited because this is actually the first video that I'm putting up that I'm recording in my brand new studio, and it's even more exciting because I'm actually going to be talking about the lighting setup that I have. And I know that this isn't a photography tutorial per se, but I put out the poll on Instagram and Facebook on what videos you want covered, and this is one of the most high requested videos that I had. So here in a minute, I'm gonna go over the lighting setup that I use, and I'll make sure that I put links in the description of every piece of equipment that I'm using. But I do wanna just say that this is the setup that works well for me. I bought everything and customized my setup for my new studio. So keep that in mind. You can use the setup that I have. You can buy similar things and customize it. I actually did some research and watched some lighting setup videos, and I got to pick and choose from the different videos what pieces of equipment I use and what I thought would work well for my setup. And I'm a little embarrassed because I saw that Peter McKinnon also put out yesterday a video on his lighting setup, and I actually recorded a whole video yesterday and I just wasn't happy with the way that it turned out. So I'm re-recording everything, but I wanted to let you know that I'm not copying Peter McKinnon. I just happened to have the desire to put up the same video at the same time as what he did. So keep that in mind when you're watching this video, but without further ado, let's jump into it.
All right, so I'm gonna start over here because this is kind of the clunkiest or bulky part of my setup. And once again, I customized and DIY'd this to fit the customizations I wanted for my office. So this is just what works for me. These are the pieces that I bought that work for me. But I bought this stand, it's made by Wali, and once again, I'll put the links in the description for all the items that I mentioned. It comes with this arm up here, and I bought this arm separately. I'm not sure how long this is, but it's a 3-tier arm, whereas this is just a 2-tier. And I have my reference monitor set up on the bottom here. Whenever I'm filming, I put this right next to my camera so that I can make sure my lighting is correct, I'm in focus without having to go and take a picture or anything and keep looking at the back of my camera. This just helps me to have a live view of what I'm filming. This has an HDMI input, and my camera has an HDMI macro or mini output, and I basically HDMI from my camera into this monitor, and it is pretty real time for filming. There might be a little bit of a delay because I'm filming a screen that's showing a screen that's showing a screen, but for the most part it's pretty live, and it just works out well for me. I'll probably move to a higher quality setup later, but for the meantime this just works well for me. So for this top arm here, this is what I put my key light on. This stand is actually made for monitors, so the piece that comes with this is actually to screw a monitor into. I took this piece that's made for actually screwing into the wall to put a light up, and I bolted it to this. I used a drill, so it's pretty firm on here, but the back piece just slides onto here, and then I'll grab my key light, and my key light just mounts onto this piece. And then I can move my key light to wherever I want. For my lighting, I'm not gonna get too much into depth on this video, but I got this Neewer LED light. I got 2 of them for about 150 bucks. And the thing I like about this is you can adjust the bulbs. It has rows of white lights and rows of yellow lights, and you can actually turn the yellow lights off all the way and turn the white lights on all the way. I like more of a natural lighting vibe, so I turn all of the white lights on. Pretty much any type of lighting that I use that's artificial, I'll use white lights. And this has 2 spots for batteries. I don't use the batteries, I just plug them in. But this thing just screws on here. And then I can move it in and out as I need. When I'm editing, I'll usually move both arms over. And then when I'm filming, I can literally adjust this to however I want, what works best for whatever shot I'm doing. So for now, I'm gonna leave this just how it is, and we're gonna move over to my hair light, and I'll show you what I use the hair light for and why. Okay, so I bought 2 of these 9-foot Neewer stands, and if you don't know about Neewer, or Newer, however you pronounce it, it's like Amazon's brand basically. That's who makes the lights that I have, the ring light that I'm using up there, which I don't use for my videos anymore, but they also make these 9-foot stands. They're very durable, and they're great to have for weddings if you're gonna put flashes on stands or anything like that. But for my video setup, I have this stand right here. I also have this boom arm, and then the same light that I use as my Keeg light, I use for a hair light. But this piece just clamps onto here with this like tightening mechanism. And then I usually actually have this stand a little bit more forward so that's out of frame. And then I will raise it up to the ceiling so it's out of frame this way. Obviously it's in frame right now because my camera's in a different position. But whenever I have my camera over here, it's out of frame. I like a wider shot for my videos. If you're doing interviews or anything like that, tighter shots are really nice. But for what I do, I like just a slightly wider shot. So the last piece of my 3-light setup is my backlight. I actually have a color gel on it. So I bought this LED strip from Home Depot for like $20. And then I bought clear gift wrap from Michael's for $5. It just adds a little bit of extra blue glow to the back of what you see in frame and just kind of helps me separate from the background a little bit more. So I'm gonna kind of put everything together, and then we're gonna start with the key light. I'm gonna turn my hair light and the backlight off, and then we'll turn them on one by one to show you why these lights are so important for the setup that I have.
All right, so I haven't really adjusted my lights at all yet, but I'm pretty happy with the way that it looks already. I'm actually gonna bring my key light out just a little bit more in front of me. Just that way, if you have the light more to the side, it gives you kind of more of a moody look. That's not really the look I'm going for. Maybe I'll cover lighting techniques in another video, but I'm pretty happy with the way that this looks right now. I might move my hair light over just a little bit. So let me make that adjustment real quick. Cause I want to pop out a little bit, but I don't want to be too, I don't want the back of my head to be too lit up. So now that I have my lights set up the way that I want, I'm gonna turn the back 2 lights off and then turn them both on one by one so that you can see the importance of each of them. So let me turn these lights off real quick. All right, so pretty quickly you can tell that this is not the look that I really want to go for in these videos, but if you're doing interviews or anything of that nature, the spotlight look is fine, but not really what I'm going for. So I'm gonna turn my hair light on real quick. All right, so already the video looks a lot better. I would be happy if I didn't have that backlight with how this looks, but I just want a little bit of extra detail. You can see that I'm pretty well separated from my background, but once again, I just want that little bit of extra something. So let me turn that backlight on real quick and then I'll show you the difference. So as you can see, it's not like a huge difference, but it just adds just enough detail. It kind of gives a little bit of glow to the background and it just spices up the video just a little bit more. But this is the lighting setup. Once again, I customized everything for my office and I'm just really happy with the way that this looks. So before we wrap up this video, I just want to tell you about the equipment that I'm using. If you didn't watch my video on what I bring to a photo shoot, I use the Sony a7 III for my camera, and then the lens I use is the Tamron 28-75 with a 2.8 aperture. Basically what that means is it's a very expensive camera. The rest of the setup is more of a DIY entry-level setup, but the camera I use, because photography and videography is my profession, I have a higher grade camera. This camera and lens combo is actually more expensive than the money that I put into building this office. The setup I have for my camera runs about $3,200 to $3,500 depending on where you purchase it. For starting out, you don't need this setup. I shoot in 4K 24 frames per second, so it gives it more of a cinematic vibe for my videos, and that's what I like. But you could start with like a Canon T5i or even like a 7D with a 50mm lens and get some pretty crisp 1080 video. But once again, I have this camera, so I'm not gonna just not use the capabilities that I have on it. But I just want you to know that you don't need an expensive camera to set up. Here in a moment, I'm actually gonna also show you what this looks like just on my iPhone. That way you can see the difference in quality when you have a nicer camera, but that you don't necessarily need a nice camera to get started. So I'm gonna switch over to the iPhone video so you can see that real quick. So the framing is probably gonna look a little bit different because it's right next to my Sony, but I did wanna show you that with the right lighting, you can still make a video look pretty good. But I did wanna add that I'm not using just the camera app on the phone. I'm using an app called Filmic Pro, and you actually do have to pay for it, but it's a good investment. Instead of paying, $700-800 for a new camera, the app, I think it's like $30 or $50, but it gives you a lot more control over the adjustments in the camera. So I did want to show you that with your iPhone and the right lighting, you can still get great video quality. Before we go, at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that this channel is sponsored by Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes is about restoring human connection to help you live a life of freedom. Covenant Eyes is designed to help you and your loved ones live free from pornography. They have exceptional tech support and make it easy by giving one report for all devices. I have Covenant Eyes on my phone and all my computers and devices, and it's helped me get free from my addiction. It's helping tens of thousands of people get recovery. I would not have a sponsor for a company that I don't believe in, and I fully believe in Covenant Eyes and their mission. Check the link in the description to sign up and use my code DREAMLOUD for 30 days free of service. Also, don't forget to check out my podcast, the Dreamloud Podcast, and also make sure you subscribe to see more free photography tutorials. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.